What's up, Chris?
How you doing today?
Good, man. Good. It's been a minute, right?
It has, man. Been a while.
Yeah. So, Chris, I want to first thank you for being on this episode, man. Taking the time out of your day. I know you're busy, as a realtor, as real estate agents. We both get super busy. So, what I really look forward to is like getting into this and really talking about why you decided to do what you do and why you decided to become an agent and kind of bounce things off of each other. I know, George, he has a lot of questions about it too. So it'd be interesting,
Yeah, there's always this like ethereal realm of the real estate agent, especially when you're younger and your parents are looking for a new home. It's like, what does this person do? Do they look in their crystal ball, find a house, what's going on? So it's going to be really interesting to see what this is.
Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for having me, definitely.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. So one of the things I want to, first ask Chris, I want to ask you, what made you choose real estate out of everything as an entrepreneur, right? What made you choose, I want to be a real estate agent. I want to get in the real estate game.
Okay. So when I graduated high school and I started my freshman year of college, obviously I'm not from a rich family. I mean, you know me in high school and stuff.
Yeah.
We took the trolley together.
Yeah.
I wasn't no wealthy kid, all that stuff. So financial aid was there, but I still needed to have a job, some kind of income to pay the bills. And I found myself working at a trampoline park and as a pizza delivery boy, working 2 jobs and taking 5 classes in college. And it was absolutely awful. Like I literally had enough time to eat and go to bed and then wake up, and in between the class I would be able to go to work to shift or after class go to work, and that's all I had time to do is to eat, sleep, work, and go to school. And I literally hated it. I did not even have enough money ever, still even working all that time. My money was still running short, and
so you didn't have time to really have any type of like family life, any type of
no, not at
life.
all. And I was living on campus, and it was different for me for sure. I have 4 siblings, and I was living on campus by myself now, and I was only going to school and working. So it was kind of depressing. It got like to a point where I was like just depressed, and I really got to a point where I even thought about dropping out of school. Like I did not even want to go to school anymore. It was such a hassle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, I was able to have some good friends around me that were like, dude, like it's worth it. Just keep coming. Like they were there too, motivating me to keep going to my classes, that kind of stuff. But I told myself like I need to figure something out. I need a better source of income. Obviously, I'm in business school doing that kind of stuff. I'm researching different ways to make money all the time. What I found is the cheapest, quickest, most like money I could make in the shortest amount of time would be real estate.
Yeah.
I could get my license. You don't have to be 18 to be licensed.
Right.
It only takes a certain amount of time to pass the test, and then I can figure the rest out after that,
Right. So having that open spectrum of knowing that, I can do something and accomplish something on my own, right? In the period, in the time frame that I want to accomplish it. Like you don't have to wait, 5+ years, with schooling and things of that nature, or however it may be. Like some people, it's 10+ years in schooling, until you can make a substantial amount of income. So for you, correct me if I'm wrong, it was knowing that I can get licensed in something relatively quickly, make money on my own dime based off of the hard work that I put in.
Exactly. Because I noticed no matter how hard I was working at the pizza place trampoline job, my hourly wage was my hourly wage.
Yeah. Right.
I can't call people up and tell them buy more pizzas, hurry up, get some more deliveries. It doesn't work that way. And then I found, so it's pretty cheap, I guess, compared to other professions.
Yeah.
It was about $1,400 all said and done to get everything I needed to get to do what I needed to do, which that for a lot of people that might not be realistic, but I was luckily able enough to meet my broker who got me started. He kind of fronted for me to do the schooling, and then with the first deal I had, I was able to pay that all back, pay for all my own stuff after that.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I was definitely fortunate enough to have, was someone I met as a mentor, which I met him at a Super Bowl party, and we just started talking about my goals and my aspirations, how I just want to make more money, and I was really interested in real estate. And just it so happened he was a broker of 30+ years, and he said he could use my help, and I started off mowing his lawns for the rental properties he managed.
Nice.
And that's how it started. I was just his assistant doing like grunt labor work, and I just told him
grinding it out.
Just kept telling him I really want to be in real estate. I want to get my license. And he paid for it, and the rest we just went forward, and that's how I got my license.
Nice, for sure.
Yeah.
One of the things that I always ask all of my guests that come on this show is, obviously it being Millennial Motive. It's about motivating each other and things of that nature. My question to you is, who or what motivates you as an entrepreneur?
So what motivates me as an entrepreneur? There's like a couple different avenues, and it's definitely changed over the years, to be honest. When I was younger, I'd probably say what motivated me was to just not struggle like my family struggled, and being poor, not being able to get things that we needed, that kind of stuff just really bugged me. And I just wanted to kind of like prove to everyone that I could do it, It's like, I want to make it and I could do it. I don't need to be in this situation the rest of my life. And a lot of people say like you have to be rich like to get rich or this kind of stuff, but I believe that with hard work people can make money and you can become wealthy independently.
Yeah.
It just takes harder work. Obviously if you're rich, it's easier to get richer, but if you're poor, it's a lot harder to get rich.
Yeah. Speaking of that, like one of the famous quotes that Dwayne Johnson has said that really speaks to me when it comes to like working hard. He said, look, I only had $7 in my pocket, right? I was living in my car, $7 in my pocket. And I only knew two things. I knew that I was broke, and one day I won't be, right? And one of the things that he said leading up to that was, I knew that the only way I was going to not be broke is I had to be the hardest working person in the room, right? So he told himself, he said, look, with hard work, that can suffice, and that can, pretty much when it comes to not having money, that can offset you not having the means. Like some people out there that have the means to do $1 million listings and things of that nature because they come from a wealthy background. But if you don't come from a wealthy background, right, the only thing you have left is what your hard work and your
knowledge,
and your hustle and your knowledge, right? So for sure.
Definitely. And then so it probably started out as like more of a pride thing, but then once I met my girlfriend and I was really starting to get into the whole real estate thing, I had got my license and stuff. It's more of like I just want to create a better life for myself and the people around me. Like what motivates me is I want a family and I don't want to have to worry about money. I want to be able to buy a house. I don't need to be Bill Gates. I don't need to be some huge mogul. I just want to have enough money to be able to put food on my family's table, take nice vacations, and not have to stress about making car payments and things like that. Right. So that's what really motivates me to just do everything I can right now because I know whatever work I put in now, I will see the results from it later.
What about you, George? Do you have any questions?
No, I'm just thinking about what you said about like the Rock when he said, "I know I'm broke and one day I won't be," because it's reminding me like when you don't have anything, all you have, well, like you said, all you have is your work ethic. It's kind of reminding me of like the classic story of the coming into the country. Like my family, they've only been in this country for like 70 years, and my grandfather, the person who I am impersonating with this accent, he like to this day he'll still like pull over to the side of the road if he sees like fruit trees. He'll still pick them because he still has that. He still has that mentality of saving, that mentality of working. He still works in a nursery in Tucson, for crying out loud. So it's like you have to be the hardest worker in the room. You have to be like this podcast is work. Everything that we've accomplished, it only came with work. I mean, yeah, a little bit of money helps, but it's not gonna
push the needle.
Yeah, it's not gonna push the needle as much. Like you could have $1 million like funneled into something, but then you could have something like Fire Festival. We know how well that turned out. One question I had, and I asked Obi about this, but I'd love for you to go in depth about this, and I didn't know if this is a thing, but do real estate agents collaborate together on projects or on selling a house or whatnot?
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely think so, yeah, that you might reach out, especially if it's different areas. Like if you're not familiar with an area, what I would do is go into the MLS, map that area, see what agent does the most deals in that area, and reach out to him and ask for his advice if I have a certain question or his opinion on comps in the area, anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Personally, maybe teaming up, like I'll like here's some money, like come help me out. I would maybe say it's just more common for people that maybe want to mentor younger people like me or in Orlando that are just starting. Because a lot of people, like you said, the older guys, they just are like hoarding mine. They don't really want to cut people. They don't really want to work with other people. They don't want to cut people on their business. That's their business they think they're cutting into.
Yeah.
Right. But and to answer your question, George, too, and then, Chris, I know you can give me some validation on this. As far as real estate agents working together, you can do what's called a co-listing. If you do a co-listing, the likelihood of that house being sold, for example, is a lot higher because you're pulling from both agents' customer base. their following and things of that nature, right? So you can do what's called a co-listing. Another thing that you guys can do too is, like how Chris was saying, if you reach out to a credible agent in the area that has done it for a long time, one of the things that I do as an agent is I reach out to credible agents and say, hey, look, what open houses do you have, right? How many open houses are you holding this weekend? Let me hold one of those for you. Let me see if I can bring in a buyer for you. And that's how agents can come together and collaborate. And then there's a lot of city council stuff that agents can do, together, so that way they can, be a little bit more well-known in the area. There's agents that team up, right? You can literally be a one-man team, or you can be a 50-man team, really. So to answer your question, George, agents do that. But the problem with it, and Chris, you already know, man, like there's not a lot of agents that are willing to do that.
No, well, because the successful ones, because if you really, the numbers on successful realtors, I think 40% of the realtors in their first year stop being realtors.
Yeah, they drop out.
Because the people who have figured out the successful plan don't want to share it.
Right.
And they've got to a point where they're like, well, I have mine, I have a commanded area. Why would I want someone to come here and compete against me?
Right.
But really, the more people you have selling, buying, collaborating, the more money is going to be made in total anyway.
Exactly.
Okay, so that answers the first question. The second question I have is, both of you mentioned this a lot, having good mentors. What's I was about to say, what's an underappreciated facet when looking for a mentor? Because you could find a mentor who's successful, but they're not going to help you. So what's one thing that you're looking for in a mentor that's not necessarily something that everyone is looking for?
Well, that's a tough question.
That's a good one, yeah.
It is really good, because I got lucky. I did not think I'm out here searching for someone to teach me how to be a realtor. I was at a party and I talked to this guy. I'm not even with the broker anymore. He got me as far as we needed to go together, and I went my separate ways. And everything's good. I have still so much respect for him, everything like that. But I don't know, just talk to him, I guess. You have to really see if you guys, if your views match up with theirs. I feel like that's most important. If you're the kind of person that got into real estate because you want to help people and you're here to promote home ownership and you want people to have their dream and support the American dream, then you should look for a mentor that has that same mentality. Don't look for a mentor that's trying to cut corners, trying to close deals as fast as they can just to make some money.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to line up with your values, and you're not going to get what you should get out of it.
Yeah, so what you're saying is, finding a mentor means finding someone that has the same life and business values that you hold for yourself. 100% right, man, because if you don't, your guys' business model isn't going to line up, right? One of the things that people outside of real estate that you guys are going to learn now that I'm explaining it, for the listeners and for the viewers, is that real estate agents, we're our own business owners. So if you can metaphorically think that you have one restaurant owner on one street and you have another restaurant owner on another street, if those two restaurant owners don't collaborate, then they're kind of split on their own, right? If they don't share the same values, then they're not going to do business with each other. They're not going to collaborate with each other. So to answer your question about finding the proper broker, you have to find the proper broker that has the same life meanings as you and stuff like that. Because working under a broker that, like how Chris was saying, man, money is for the money. I don't care about the client. I don't care. No, I'm not taking this listing because these people, it's a short sell and things of that nature, and nitpicking and stuff like that because of your own personal viewpoint. Who wants to work with somebody like that, right? One of the things that we've learned, when it comes to studying for real estate was the key aspect was fair housing, right? That's what we are.
They say that realtors are really the only group of people that are out there promoting home ownership, individual private home ownership, which is very important. That's crucial. People really deserve the right to own their own homes and to own private property. But
one of the things I wanted to ask, because every realtor has their own viewpoint on this, right? And of course for the consumer too. Buying versus renting, right? Is it necessarily wrong to rent, or is it necessarily wrong to buy? I just wanted to see where your viewpoint was on it.
My viewpoint is, if I can not rent, I will run as far away from renting as possible.
Right?
The means are not always there, and I get that. Good credit and a little bit of money, that's what's you need to get a house, and not everyone has those things.
Right.
But renting is a death trap, and it's how people like me are gonna get richer someday.
Right.
Is with rent, because you're paying for someone else's property. You're literally putting someone else's equity into their property, and you just get to stay there temporarily. Owning a home long term is so much more, like millions of dollars more worth it than it would be to rent every single time. Real estate is the best investment, honestly.
Yeah, and that's what I always say to people too. Like, if you were looking to invest in any industry, invest in real estate. You know, and then they always say, well, I don't have the down payment, I don't have the means. Well, you can, you know, you find a proper lender, you'll be able to get the proper means. And if you're going to take a leap and a jump into an investment, like, it should be real estate. Every investor that I've spoken to in the past with my past job that I had, they've always said that real estate was a part of their portfolio. Always.
Definitely, it's the best. Like, for the long term, it's like the best.
Yeah.
You're only going to get something out of it, and you just, if the market crashes, you just hold on to it and just get some rental income and wait till it goes back up.
Yeah, you know, so, you know, before we get into the second segment, I want to just end off with one more last question for you, my man, Chris. You know, we're coming to a close to 2019. What are your goals going into 2020 as a realtor?
My goals as a realtor, I want to expand my sphere of influence. I really want to just get my name out there, let people, I want everyone that has ever heard my name to know that name associated with me being a realtor, real estate agent. Other goals I'd like to do is I'd really like to just, you know, like, be able to take a little vacation with my girlfriend. I'd really like to travel somewhere with her.
Yeah.
Last year we went to Colorado for like a week. I'd like to go somewhere else this 2020.
Yeah. What you thinking?
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking passport, get out of the country. This will be our first time ever going out of the country. Maybe go on a cruise or something like that.
That's the best way to do it, dude. If you do a cruise and you can kind of hop on in different spots, you know, the bang for your buck is definitely there.
It definitely is, yeah. Because I mean, 2020 is going to be a lot about work, school. I still have 3 more semesters and I'll be done with business school. But just grinding on that, just staying focused, because I have like a plan to when I'm 25. That's when I want like my business to be built, me to have, you know, referral business, that kind of thing. Have graduated my degree and be able to just commit myself to investing in real estate and building my portfolio.
Yeah, right on, dude. Those are some pretty good goals. All right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna take a short break. Stay tuned, everyone. We're gonna go into our second segment. The second segment is entitled "The Importance of Life Choices." Stay tuned.
This episode of Millennial Motive is brought to you by Fig Tree Cinemas. See that guy sitting over there? That's me. I'm George Elias. I have shot and edited every single episode of Millennial Motive thus far. If you want to check out my work, you can check it out at figtreecinemas.com. And now back to the episode.
All right, so welcome to the second segment of this episode, guys. Like I was saying before in the first segment, this second segment, we're going to discuss a very, very good topic, which is the importance of life choices. So I'm gonna go ahead and start by asking you, Chris, like, what first comes to mind, man, when you hear that statement, the importance of life choices?
Timing. I'd say crucial timing is super important about your choices. Like, what you decide to do at certain points in time really will propel you in certain directions at a much higher velocity if you do it at the right time.
Yeah.
So like waiting on to do something, I would never recommend doing. I would always recommend jumping on whatever that is, makes you passionate, whatever interests you, to do it. And then once you have that set up, then it's way easier to really recognize the best times to make crucial life decisions, to expand, to grow, to halt, to stop. So it's leaping forward with the first leap to doing that life choice, and then registering when the best time to make the next life choices is. Because I think it's all about timing. The choices you make, like most people who are the successful, crazy stories, 1 in a million stories, the number one thing they had over everyone was just the timing of when they did something. Because there's 30 of the same products, but the person who launched the product first is the one who got the most rich off of it.
Yeah, 100%. You know, and kind of feeding into what you're saying about timing being a really big importance of the choices that you make in life, right, is understanding that, like, you can spend a bunch of time, you know, thinking about a decision that you want to do something, right? Like, you know, you as a realtor, man, and me as well as a realtor, and then George as a photographer, we all had to like make that statement in some form, some way, at one point in time, to just take that leap and just do it, right?
Definitely.
You know, just to understand that it's going to take time, and the time is based off of how important that path is for you.
Definitely.
Right. So yeah, dude, the timing is super important.
Yeah.
For life choices. I agree with you.
And I feel like that's the
For sure.
biggest point of hindering people's goals and not being successful is just not really jumping on the right time. Like someone who waits to go to school until they're 30, now they have a family, they have more bills. They could have when they were 18, living at home still, and could have been just focusing on that, doing that, and they could have set themselves up way better for the future.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm happy that, like, for me in my 20s, I'm sure you can agree too, like in your 20s, you decided to start young, you know.
Definitely.
George, as a videographer, like we're starting young because we know that all we have that we can't get back is time. Right.
Definitely. Well, that's the most valuable asset.
Yeah, it's the most valuable thing, for sure, for sure. What's your thoughts on like the importance of life choices?
It's kind of interesting because there have been a lot of life choices that you can't predict when you're going forward. You can only look back at them and say like, "Wow, that was an incident. That was, you know, an event. That was a choice that you didn't realize the magnitude of in that moment." And I'll give an example. Like I talked about this on the first episode of the podcast, and I never got to talking about that incident. Was 2 years ago, December 18th is the 2-year anniversary when I went on a hike. I was hiking Ice House Trail. If any of you in San Bernardino know, you know that's not an easy hike, but it's not impossible. And we were hiking our way up there. And we sat there. I was with a buddy of mine, and we said, "Okay, let's stop for a minute." And we look and say, "Oh wow, what a nice sunset." And we're just like, for a second, realizing it's sunset. It's December 18th, something like that. Yeah. And we only have an hour until sun is gone, and we're going to be dark in the middle of the Angeles National Forest, so we got to get out of there. So this is going to tie into life choices, but just bear with me for a minute. And on the way down, like 2 miles from the mouth of the trail, I slip, I fall 10 feet, I split my left ankle keystone bone, and we still had 2 miles to get out of there. We got out of there an hour later, but the amount of pain getting out of there wasn't as bad as the amount of mental pain realizing, wait a second, I can't take a shoot for 2 months because I'm off my foot, because I'm a working filmmaker. I can't work. I can't go to a shoot. I can't photograph a wedding. I can't film a wedding. I can't film a commercial event, nothing. So
because you're going to be out of commission.
I'm going to be out of commission.
Right.
So, like, looking forward, that made me look into making more content on my own time for myself, not just taking other jobs, but making content for myself, making projects for myself. I started 2 projects after the fall, I call it. After Olympus has fallen. After the fall, that's when I started working on 2 big projects on my own time. And it started to just restructure everything. So about like making life choices, you never know what choice is going to be the one that completely sets you up for success or completely sets you up for failure. Like timing, yeah, you can do a lot of great timing, but like when you said for being the first in a lot of things, I kind of I have a counter argument to that. Like with Apple, they were not the first to introduce the mouse, like the point-click mouse. They weren't the first to implement the graphical user interface with the files on the desktop or anything like that. They weren't the first. They were just able to implement it not only better, but make sure that people understand it. So it doesn't necessarily matter what, and they had a computer right before the Macintosh, the Lisa, that was just as actually more powerful, but no one was willing to bite it. So you never know what decision you make, or what decision that you've made will put you in the right direction for the life choices. Like Steve Jobs said in his 2006 commencement speech, you can only connect the dots looking backwards. You can't connect them looking forward. So for me, it's just being open to new experiences, being able to literally bite the bullet and just hike Just one more step.
Right.
One more
Right.
step.
Putting one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, or one busted foot in front of the other. Yeah. So.
Well, in your situation, yeah.
Yeah, but no, that's how I see it. Life choices, they sometimes are thrusted upon you, sometimes you make them, but you just have to make the best of what you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of us do with your gut. Like just going
Yeah.
with your gut, I feel like is one of the most important things on that. Like you said, like you don't know what you're doing when you're doing it, but you're just going with your gut doing it.
Yeah.
And then you can connect the dots after it's done and it's over with. Then you can realize, wow, I was creating that. I didn't even realize.
Yeah. What about you, Obi?
Yeah, when I think about the statement, the importance of life choices, the reason why the choices that you make in life are so important, for me, is because it's a fact of that one key word element in that statement, choices, right? If you stay stagnant in life and you don't take the leap of faith in whatever choice that may be, it can be multiple choices or it can be one choice. It can be the choice, like for career-wise speaking, it can be the choice of being a real estate agent, right? The fact that you made the choice and you're going to go ahead and move forward with it breeds importance, because by taking those leaps, right, by taking those chances, right, to go forward in something, you now are experiencing a different chapter in your life, right? You don't know where that chapter is gonna read to next, but you know that you're gonna eventually get to the end of the book, and you're gonna see if that choice is either finite for you, meaning something that's gonna help you to succeed, or gonna make you happy and things of that nature. You might meet new people along the way and things of that nature. You never know whether that choice is gonna lead up to something greater, right? For example, me and you can be realtors, Chris. We're realtors now, right? But later on in life, we can make the choice to start investing in some flips, for example, or investing in some duplexes and complexes and things of that nature, house hacking and stuff like that. And that, being a real estate agent, can lead up to us, doing that, right? Just kind of going based off of like our industry knowledge and where we're at in our career, right?
All those things I have plans to do.
Yeah.
Literally,
So we have plans to do those things. And eventually it's going to boil down to making the choice to do those things. So the reason why making life choices is so important to me is because you never know where that path is going to lead to, right? Because if you stay stagnant and you don't make those choices, are you ever really going to get anywhere in life?
No.
You're not, right? You're going to sit there and you're going to be the average Joe, or like how you were saying in the first segment, Chris, you're going to be 30, 40, 50, 60 years old trying to figure out, what career path or what you want to do with your life, or, if you can afford to buy a house at that point and things of that nature. And that's why I love being an entrepreneur at our age, because we've all made the choice to be our own bosses at this age, so that way we can set ourselves up for the future.
Definitely.
So
Tim Ferriss talks about this in his TED Talk. The word decision, he has a knife in his, I think it's in his study room. He has an actual knife like mounted to it, and it says make a decision. And decision actually, it refers to the word incision, meaning to cut something. So when you're making a decision, you're cutting out the rest and you're going full force into that. And right now there are some key decisions. I was talking to do this in the car. I have I have the exact opposite problem of someone in university. I have too many doors open for me. So it's choosing which one, and then making sure that you don't have the power of regret take over you, because that could be that's another aspect of making life decisions, because you could say, well, I'm going to drop out. Well, not saying this for me, guys, don't worry, I'm not dropping out yet. You have the opportunity to drop out and become a musician. You have the ability to be a real estate agent. You could go to school for another 10 years and become a doctor. You could become a plumber. Whichever decision you make, stick with it and go forward with it. If you come against a roadblock and you say, you know what, I changed my mind, make sure you're changing your mind based on something that's tangible, and just not because it's hard, because it's going to be hard. Decisions are going to be hard. You just have to make sure you're making the right decisions for yourself.
Right. Or like based off of to kind of go what you're saying with George, like even if you decide that later on that choice wasn't the right choice for you, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about this earlier in the first segment too. 40% of realtors, when they first get into this industry, they drop out, right? A lot of people, when they fail at something, they look at it and they're like, oh, I failed. You know, they look at it as a deficit, like I wasted time and blah, blah, blah. You know, even if they're thinking about, is this something I still want to do or not, right? They feel bad about potentially making the decision to stop doing a choice that they decided to make because they want to make a different choice. My mindset on choices is like, you know, look, if it's a choice that you decide to make, then you're leading your own path for your own life. No one else can tell you anything otherwise. You know, no one can say that George later on might go into something completely different from videography later on in life. Not saying that's what you're gonna do, you know, but
We'll figure it out.
yeah, you know, like later on in life when you're in your, you know, well into your 30s and stuff like that, an opportunity might rise itself where you now developed a different goal and a different dream and a different passion for something completely different than what you thought today, right? And so in other words, another really important thing about life choices is not beating yourself up over those choices that you made. You know what I'm
Things
saying?
change for sure. I mean, just my mindset in the past 2 years has probably been a roller coaster of different mentalities. You know, like your mindset today is like you said, it could be totally different from what your mindset's going to be 2 years from now. You know, like I could love real estate today, and 2 years from now, I could be like, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't think that because I really like real estate.
Right.
It's a cool industry. I really like it.
Right.
But like, it could happen. You never know. Exactly. And then at that point in time, you reevaluate a life choice. Do you stay or do you go? But like I said, it's more about going with your gut. What's going to make you happy at that point in time? Like you said, don't quit because it's hard. If it's what you want to do, then do it. But if that's not making you happy, then make the change.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, make sure you're doing it to the best of your ability.
Yeah. And it's going to propel you. Like, obviously, you know, you want to make the right choices. You know, if somebody says, you know, I'm making all this money and I'm going to choose to just blow it away. You know, I have a great family, or I have a great wife and kids and friends and stuff like that, you know, and I'm just going to blow it away because I want to go party and drink and have fun and go live in Vegas. Well, that's a pretty bad life choice, right? So you got
Going all out, though. Going all out.
You know, like,
doing it.
you know, you can make the decision to do that, you know, and ultimately it's yours, but also understanding, you know, making the right ones, right? Making the ones that are right for the people around you.
Exactly.
You know, the family that believe in you, the people that see what you're trying to accomplish, and they have your back, you know.
What motivates you?
What motivates you, exactly. Don't give those things up when you make those choices.
Exactly.
Whatever motivates you should still hold value when you make those choices.
100%.
So, but anyway, you know, that's enough. That's all that we have for today, guys. You know,
That's
Chris,
a perfect wrap.
You know, at this point in time, we're gonna have to wrap it up. But Chris, it was a pleasure having you,
Yeah,
dude.
it's a great time. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You know, but at this point in time, what I like to do, Chris, is give you the stage to kind of, you know, let people know where they can find you on social media.
Okay.
Anybody out there looking for any real estate knowledge, any estate need, you know, like how we talked about in the first segment, I'm not greedy. You know, reach out to, you know, Chris and see if he can answer any of the questions that you have as far as real estate too. So
Definitely.
Tell them, you know, how can they get a hold of you, my man?
You guys can get a hold of me on Instagram. I have a personal account at cbubion, Bubion. That's Bubion. That's my last name. And then I have another business account on Instagram. It's called the Bubion Brand, _Bubion _brand. And I'm also with the Brand Realty. They're located in Carlsbad. You can email me. My email is christianbubion@gmail.com, and I'd be happy to help you guys any way I can.
Perfect.
And Orlando would too, I know.
Perfect. All right. So that wraps it up. Thank you for listening, everyone, and the people that are viewing. Thank you for viewing this episode of our podcast. Until next time, guys. Take it easy.